Thanks a lot, Trevor. Yep, appreciate it, and thanks Dan and Chris as well. We appreciate you having us here. So what I'm going to do, my name is Nick, and I'm going to lead you through a bit of a progression of understanding why Live Virtual Help Desk added this very well-defined NOC service and kind of why it makes sense to get NOC services from a vendor that also delivers Help Desk and how the two services are really integrated closely together. I do want to reiterate what the other guys have said, which is that there's a Q&A panel here, so this is a lot of new information, so please ask questions and we'll answer those in real time, but we'll also take some of the most common questions and answer those at the end as a Q&A session. One bullet that's on the end of this slide that I just want to mention, that the Help Desk is being delivered from Canada today, all North American resources, and I think one of the reasons that Live Virtual Help Desk has built such a tremendous reputation in the Help Desk business is because the communication and the tenacity with which we solve problems is just kind of very well known in the industry, and I think a lot of the complaints that we hear about NOC services are around communication. And so what we've decided to do is, although our NOC itself is located in India, we are making all the communications still come from North America so that there'll be work that's being done from a geographically advantaged budgetary position, but in terms of having to interact with people, the account management and the communications are going to be coming out of North America. So we're really going to combine the best of both worlds there to give you guys the best possible solution. So what I'd like to do now is just talk a little bit on two fronts about why should you add NOC services. One of those is why did Live Virtual Help Desk add this very well-defined NOC service, and also why should you as an MSP consider adding NOC services to your line card if you haven't already. So the first one is that a lot of people are selling Help Desk today, and most of the Help Desk business that we do comes from partners who have a certain part of their customer base that is just exceptionally needy, and they have lots of questions all the time, and unfortunately, as much as you want to help these guys, they end up becoming a real time sink, and ultimately in a lot of people's business models they don't really charge for it, and so they end up taking a lot of time and they don't generate a lot of revenue. So the first thing we want to really position is that if you have customers who really do require more hand-holding and more ability to just pick up that phone and be able to get a live North American-based person to fix their problem, Help Desk is absolutely the solution that you should be selling these people. And the beauty of NOC services is it's a complete complement to Help Desk. So if you think about those two services and what they really represent, the Help Desk is for end users who are sitting in front of their PC, their laptop, their smartphone, their tablet, and they're having trouble connecting to the internet, or they're having trouble with an application, or they have a virus that's attacked their machine, and they need to pick a phone up and get somebody to help them solve that problem right away. NOC services, on the other hand, is really not about phone-based customer communication. It's really about behind-the-scenes maintenance of the overall infrastructure, and that includes patching the environment. It includes monitoring systems that can be monitored and being able to figure out if there are alerts happening. Is it a precursor to some more serious event, or is it something serious that's occurred? And as Trevor mentioned, really becoming very reactive, or becoming much more proactive, I should say, and not being forced to be so reactive by picking up alerts and seeing things that are happening in the environment and then fixing them before they become an issue that brings your customer down. And so tremendous amount of complement between these two services. I will mention that the fundamental NOC service that we provide is one that we call Watch, and throughout the presentation I'll create a distinction between the service called Watch and the other service that we call Manage. But just the Watch service alone involves a tremendous amount of preventative maintenance, and that really is making sure that the operating systems and the antivirus environments and the configurations on these various devices that we're supporting are all up to date, and that alone will cut down a lot of the issues that people see in their environment. So the preventative maintenance thing is critical. And then as you kind of go down the line of things you need to do, we really want to be able to speed the resolution time on issues that occur by eliminating downtime. And a good example is you may have a lot of customers who are more daytime oriented customers, but something happens where a circuit goes down and their internet connectivity gets lost in the middle of the night. Well, that's one of the things that we'll be paying attention to. We can open up a ticket, get the internet connection reestablished, and by the time your customer comes in the office in the morning at 8 o'clock, everything's running again as normal, and they never even noticed that there was an issue, as opposed to them giving you a call as you're on your way in the car to go visit another customer, and suddenly you're in the middle of a firefight and trying to get a ticket opened and waiting on hold with one of the carriers and those kinds of things. So this proactive service really allows you to not be in the firefight mode and kind of gives your health of your business and time for you to focus on things that are potentially much more high margin, much more profitable. Another thing I want to mention is that if any of you out there have tried to run any of the main RMM tools, and I know a lot of you guys use Kaseya, but it could be Enable, LPI, LabTech, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Each of these tools has a tremendous amount of functional capability in it, and each of them has their own nuance in terms of their administrative console, how you provision agents if they're agent-based, and generally how you set up the alerting mechanism. And that is an exceptionally difficult thing to become an expert at. And so one of the things that we provide so many of our clients is the ability to just have tremendous levels of expertise on these RMM platforms, such that when we go deploy this environment into one of your client sites, we do so with tremendous experience and know exactly how to set up the monitoring and the alerting in a way that's not going to create a bunch of false alerts, and at the same time is going to capture any real issues that are going on in the environment. So for many MSPs that we deal with and talk to every day, they just don't have the time and the energy and the inclination to become an absolute expert on these RMM platforms, and so we can provide that function for you. Needless to say, being able to sell Helpdesk and NOC services is a tremendous revenue opportunity, and more MSPs that we're dealing with are really telling us that they're moving away from the break-fix model, and they're moving to a model where they're really requiring the vast majority of their customers to provide recurring revenue to them, and they provide an ongoing service on a weekly and monthly basis. So clearly this is all about recurring revenue and about you building up what you need to do there. The other thing I kind of talked about a little bit, but just to touch on it again, is this integration between Helpdesk and NOC. When your Exchange server goes down, unfortunately that creates a whole bunch of users who say, I can't do email, and they all want to call the Helpdesk. So when you have tight integration between NOC and Helpdesk, it allows you to really understand when something's happening in the core infrastructure and how that's going to impact all the users, and be able to create communications and visibility to the Helpdesk team that says, yep, we understand there's a problem, we're working on it, and basically we're going to have this fixed in an hour or 15 minutes or whatever the case may be. And finally, I think, as Trevor mentioned, there was a NOC service that was offered, but if you look at what we're going to talk about over the next 15 or 20 minutes, this is a tremendously well-baked NOC service that we're talking about today, and it's really been through the demand of our customers. So what I'd like to do right now is ask the first of a couple polling questions, and this first one is just to get a little bit of a feel for how big your business is in terms of how many endpoints you're actually managing. So we're going to go ahead and pop up a polling question, and in real time you guys can kind of take a look at that and just give us a feel for how many endpoints you're managing today with your business. So we'll take a couple of seconds to let that poll happen. Trevor, any other comments about what we've been saying so far, or does this all sound pretty good?
Perfect. It's sounding wonderful. It's great to be part of such a great team that's able to provide this service and help us to provide more value to our clients.
Perfect. Okay, great. We're getting some polling results. We're seeing that a lot of you guys are, sub 100 endpoints. Another, quarter of you are around 250, between 100 and 250, and a few are over. So I think you'll find that your need for a NOC service evolves as you deal with different numbers of endpoints, and kind of the problems that you're addressing and the way that you solve them it kind of evolves over time. So we can certainly talk about that. But thank you for your input. That's valuable information.